Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming a very special guest. I am so fucking excited. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to have a cast member of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that is Allen Danziger. Yes, Allen Danziger. He's one of the few remaining cast members that's still alive, and I'm having him on the show today. I'm going to talk about that movie. He was also in Tobe Hooper's first movie, Eggshells, back in 1969, and I'm going to ask him about that as well, because I don't know too much about that movie. I've never seen it. I've only heard about it, and I was lucky to find him on Facebook and ask him for an interview, and he's kind enough to do it. So I'm pretty excited. Halloween is just a few days away, and this has been a great month for Halloween October episodes of Splat from the Past. I'm just so phenomenally lucky with all the people I've gotten, and I'm just so grateful. I can't tell you how grateful I am. Sure, there's a few people who flaked on me or what have you, or said no, but whatever. You can have them all, but you can't have them all. That's pretty much the philosophy of right now. So, here is my interview with Allen Danziger.
Hey, hello.
Hi, Allen.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's such an honor. Thank you for taking the time today.
Sure.
Now, I know that... sorry, I'm getting my notes all sidetracked.
Sure.
Now, I know you were in Toby's first movie, Eggshells, but I'm curious, going back to the beginning, what did you do before Toby came into your life?
Well, I was if you can believe it, I was a social worker here in Austin.
Oh.
And, I worked with young people, actually, kids that had some mental challenges, and we would take them out on campouts and stuff, and it was, real rewarding, I did that for about 10 years, and then I started my own entertainment company, and I think it was in like 78, and we did start off doing things like singing telegrams, clowns, jugglers, and we advanced to doing casino parties and festivals, and so I did that. Actually, I quit that, I think, in 2000, I think 2012.
Wow.
Yeah, I sold my business. I also had a bed and breakfast in Luling, Texas, and, just some other property, and it just was too much. I just decided I needed to downsize. So I'm basically retired, except when I, do these horror conventions, and I see a lot of the fans, and that's unbelievable. It's terrific. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, wow. You have a lot to be grateful for, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, I have Asperger's syndrome. I was in special education throughout school, so yeah, I can relate to that with the challenged stuff. Yeah, that's very admirable, I have to say, Allen.
Thank you.
My pleasure and stuff. But you never did any kind of acting before that, like community theater?
No, I wasn't an actor. But some friends of mine would say what I did normally was an act. So, but I have no training.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was in Chainsaw because of Eggshells, which was, I don't know if you have you ever seen that movie?
I've never seen Eggshells, no.
Okay. It just came out, I think, in DVD and Blu-ray, and I did, I started off doing like one or two scenes, and it was a thing, I don't know if you recall, it's called cinema verite, which means they just come in and they tell you what the idea of it is, and then you just ad-lib it. You know what I mean? There's no script, there's no lines. You
Right.
just do your thing. And that's what I did, and I guess, they liked it. They kept adding more scenes. And at the time, my wife at the time was in it. My son was like 8 months old. He's in it. But because of that movie, unfortunately, I think 15 or 20 people saw that movie. You know?
Yeah.
That's about it. And went nowhere. But when they wrote Chainsaw, they came to me and said, this is the part we'd like you to play, which was Jerry. In other words, I didn't have to audition or anything. They just said, we want you to do this. So that's how I got into it.
Mm-hmm. But how did you get into Eggshells?
I was working with some volunteers that were working with me in what I was doing. And in knowing them and them working for me or volunteering with me, there were a couple of scenes. And it turned out that Toby knew the folks that lived underneath me. It was like a duplex. And somehow I got to meet him, and that's what triggered off, my first involvement in the so to speak, in the film industry.
I see. Is it a horror film?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the shooting process like for that movie?
Which one?
For Eggshells.
I mean, they would come into my house, they almost, set it on fire, but other than that, they just came in with the cameras, the whole deal, and, shot, some scenes, then added more scenes, and, that was it. I think I'm in 5 or 6 scenes, and that was during the anti-war, so they got me in the crowd at the anti-war march here in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was around 67, 68.
Mm-hmm. Because you were nervous, because it was your first movie, were you nervous?
Not really, because, I never thought anything was going to happen, so there was no reason to be nervous. But, so I did it, and lo and behold, then came Chainsaw. So that was a complete, fluke. I had no idea what was going to happen with that movie. No idea.
Mm-hmm. What was your initial reaction when you read the script for Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Well, it's funny. They came to my apartment at the time. They gave me the script, and I think I read it in like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I I never had read really a script before, but it kind of gripped you. It got you. And, so I said, I'll do it. That's how it came about.
Yeah, up to this point, the only seminal horror film in that second wave of horror was Night of the Living Dead, but this movie just took it to a whole new level.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And it's, the graininess of the film, the fact that, we were believable characters.
Right.
And that it was in Texas, and that people believe, well, that could happen in Texas for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the graininess of the movie is very documentary-like it's a home camera thing. Yeah.
Like the Blair Witch Project, but this to me was a lot better, in terms of how they filmed it and the color, and they took great pains for each scene that I was in to make it right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was 13 years old when I saw this one. I remember my brother had a poster for the second one when I was younger, and when I saw this, I didn't think it was scary. I thought it was funny, And my dad had seen it in the theater when he was 17, and I told him, I said, Dad, this movie isn't scary, and he was like, you don't understand, son. I was 17. This was 1974. It was the scariest thing anybody had ever seen. And this came out a year after The Exorcist, which was a really scary movie. Yeah,
when the movie came out, and I went to see one of the trailers, and I took my son, I think he was about 5 at the time, just to see me on the screen and just real little. He's still in therapy.
That bad?
That movie, it was that bad.
Oh my God.
I'm kidding.
Oh. How did Toby get funding for these early movies?
I don't know. I guess Eggshells was a film with basically no budget. I think he had done some commercials, and just saved up some money and, borrowed the camera. I mean, just a lot of stuff that I'm not aware about, how we did it. But Chainsaw, I think, was made, on like a $70,000 budget or less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was about so. It was about 70,000 or something like that.
Yeah, and then after they did that, and then the editing and whatnot, that took quite a bit more time and a bit more money. And when we shot the movie, they brought each of the actors in, and I mean, they basically paid us, even by 73 standards was virtually nothing, but they gave us a percentage of the movie, to do it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as you probably know, the original distributors was Bryanston, and they were mainly owned by the mafia. So, the original amount of money, we never saw it. It virtually trickled down. Like the thing, by the time they got the movie back, Bryanston played hardball, and it was the real nightmare or massacre was that company.
Yeah. When I interviewed Terry McMinn, she seemed like she holds a lot of bitterness because everyone didn't get paid,
Mm-hmm.
And in those days, in all those landmark horror films, nobody got paid.
Yeah, nobody knew that. You know what I mean? You're just happy that they offered you something and that you were going to be in this movie. So, that's what a lot of people did.
Yeah, nobody knew how successful they would be, and they didn't know they didn't know the business side of Hollywood.
No.
Yeah.
Even the people making the movie didn't know the business side.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Yeah. What was Marilyn Burns like?
She was beautiful in the movie, but I really didn't know her. I mean, we didn't bond during that movie. Unfortunately, it was only later, I would say years later, that I got to, really see. She was a terrific girl, or woman now, but, she was, back then, she didn't know us, and I just thought that she was a little aloof.
Yeah.
But later on, she was just a wonderful person, really caring person.
Mm-hmm. Terry?
And Terry, I still maintain, in fact, I just talked to her the other day, and so she's here in Austin, and I'm pretty close friends with Bill Vale, who played Kirk. He lives, I think, in Seattle. So I'm in touch with him, I would say, every month or more. And Ed Neal, I see him at the convention, which was the end of September. And Ed was there, and I was there. So, and they had cast members from Chainsaw 2, Chainsaw 3, Chainsaw 4, 3D. But the one that people, remember, or that really captures people that love them, is the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, of course. What was Gunnar Hansen like?
Well, that's an interesting thing in that I didn't really meet Gunnar or see Gunnar until the scene where I get killed.
Mm-hmm.
They kept, the young teenagers and the bad people, the crazy people, they kept us away from each other. And so the scene where I get it, I kind of worked myself up to a frenzy, and that was the first time when I got into the scene with him with the sledgehammer, that I made him, and I tell people, that I get killed with a sledgehammer, and now 45 years later, I'm still getting terrible headaches.
Oh, yeah, that is a really good scene, I have to say.
Mm-hmm. But the funny thing is that after that movie, we became good friends and we became housemates. He stayed with me, for several months before he moved to Maine.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just the opposite of that character. Very bright, just terrific guy, and unfortunately passed away.
Yep.
I think last year, and it just took everybody, by surprise. I was in shock, that happened to him. But it was a terrific guy after the movie was over.
And Paul Partain?
That was kind of sad in that I saw him at the first horror convention that I did. I think it was in Cleveland, and he sat next to me, and it turned out he was a terrific guy. But during the movie, we all hated him, but that was the character.
Yeah.
But it turned out he also was a really nice guy, and I think he's one of the first people to pass away at such a young age.
Yeah. I was just so shocked about him and Marilyn, and then Toby. Toby died a month after George Romero did, and I was.
Yeah, I mean, we're a vanishing breed. I tell people, you want to get to see me now, you never know.
Yeah, I was so shocked. I never got to meet either of them.
You mean Gunnar or Toby?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean Gunnar, Toby, and George Romero. I never got to meet any of them.
Yeah.
Did you, when the movie came out, did you go to any screenings of the movie?
Yeah. I went to the first screening here in Austin, and friends of mine chipped in so that I could take a limousine, and I had an entourage, go with me, to see it. And, I mean, people went crazy. They loved the movie.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
so I had like 15 minutes of fame, and it's just been stretched out now 45 years later. People still want to, come and see me when we do these conventions. And they're so nice and so polite and so, so grateful to meet us. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Did you see any people get up and leave?
No, one person threw up next to me. But other than that, everything was fine.
But a lot of people were just like screaming out of terror.
Oh yeah. And like I say, it was banned in Europe for years.
Yeah, I know it was banned in Europe and stuff too. Mm-hmm. God, yeah.
There really is very little blood in that movie. There really is. It's just the idea of it, or just the way they cut it. I honestly never thought it was going to be, turn out to be that way. In fact, I saw a couple of rushes, on a couple of days, and, he said, how do you think we can improve the movie? And I said, have the seats facing away from the screen. So that tells you what I knew, about the movie.
Mm-hmm. So the movie comes out. It's this huge controversial hit, and Terry told me, she said everyone involved in the movie could not get acting work after it came out. So what happened to you?
Well, what happened to me? Pretty much nothing. I mean, I wasn't an actor, so I didn't see myself, pursuing it. If somebody would have come to me and said, that I might have done it. But I was doing social work, so my time was really limited. In fact, when we made the movie, I would do it really on weekends. They would pick me up in like a Winnebago, and then we'd go on set and, film my part pretty much on the weekends.
Yeah. So you went back to doing the social work and all that stuff? Yeah. And I mean, did anybody ever recognize you from the movie?
Yeah. Well, I was still young enough, when, I went to a couple of drive-ins, and, people would come up to the car once they knew who I was. And there's a thing, you might get a kick out of this. There's like a breakfast place here in Austin, where a good friend of mine likes to go all the time. And he likes to talk to people. He'll talk to anybody. And then he'll start with, have you ever seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? And they say, yeah, or, sure, but it was a long time ago. And so he introduces me as one of the co-stars. And now the wait staff, who see me coming in, they start yelling, Jerry, Jerry. So I can't go in there without them calling my name, the character in the movie.
That's so good. I like that. That's so good stuff. Yeah, one thing I've learned from doing this podcast is that horror, while it's wonderful, it ruins the lives of so many people involved because it attracts crazy people who watch it. People get offended that someone was in a movie with lots of blood and guts. It's a weird thing.
Well, when I first, started going, I thought I'd be meeting a lot of serial killers, wannabes. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the case. I mean, they might have tattoos, all kinds of piercing, but they're the nicest people. So, what do you know?
Mm-hmm. I mean, so overall, you had a pleasant experience. You didn't have people.
I did. You know, some of those, I mean, it was horrific what they went through. My stuff was like a walk in the park. I mean, it was sometimes where it was extremely hot, especially in that van. It was like 100 degrees, plus other people, plus light. So, I mean, it's brutal that way. But overall, the experience was great.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. At least you can say that happened.
You know? I mean, interesting thing, when we were filming the movie in the van, after every, couple of takes, the girls would go in the makeup trailer and they get their hair done, makeup, whatever, just fixed up so they look good. And so I watched this thing going on. I said, man, that's a good deal. I need to try this out. So after one of the scenes, I stepped out of the van and headed into the makeup trailer. And no sooner did I sit down when Dottie, the makeup girl, comes over to me and said, Alan, there's nothing we can do for you. So that was my experience with that deal.
Nice. What did you think of the sequels?
Actually, they play this on HBO a lot. The one that I've seen is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The one that has Matthew McConaughey.
Oh yeah.
And that's so over the top, that it's like a spoof.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only one that I've seen. I did see the 3D version because they use clips of the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty good. It also was 3D, so it was kind of different, kind of interesting.
Yeah, I can only recommend the second one. I like it. I mean, it's campy and over the top, and it's very 80s. But I like the second one because Bill Moseley's in it, and Dennis Hopper. Yeah.
And then Bill Johnson still lives in Austin. Pretty close to me, and so we've remained friends. And when I had my entertainment business, Bill Johnson did things as the Grim Reaper. It was really good. Had a great voice and stuff like that. So we stay in touch. I see him also at these horror conventions.
Yeah, I've interviewed Bob Elmore. He's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been retired since then?
Yeah. And I have a son. I have 2 grandkids. In fact, I'm leaving for New York on the 1st to visit my brother.
Nice.
He lives in New York, and so I'm looking forward to that. And I joined a bridge club, and I jump off next Friday.
Nice. How long have you been doing conventions?
Oh, since I think 2003. That was the first one that I did, and I mean, that was so people were just unbelievable. They were glad to meet me. They'd seen Gunnar had been doing it for a number of years, but I never, I didn't know anything about it. So that was the first one that I did, and it was great. So I've done several, since then. And a few years ago, they flew us to Germany, and that was kind of cool.
Do you have any coming up?
There may be something, thing here in Austin on December. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it, but the one that I did was September the 28th in Bastrop. In fact, the guy that promoted that put that on, his name is Roy Rose, and he owns the gas station. That's one of the scenes from. And he's built like cabins there, and the main thing, he serves barbecue, and he's got all kinds of Chainsaw and other horror movie type of memorabilia. So people go there as almost a destination and spend a night or a weekend at one of his cabins.
Yeah, I hope they book you guys somewhere next year in California so I can come out and meet you guys. That would be great.
Terry and I think they have been out there, and maybe Marilyn some years ago was out there, but I've never been out there for a convention.
Yeah, because next year is 45 years. They should be inviting you guys. Yeah. Well, Alan, it's been.
I think it has come out in 4D or 4 something, but I haven't seen it in that manner.
Yeah, Blu-ray and all that. Nice. Well, Alan, it's been such a pleasure. I thank you so much for taking the time this morning.
You got it.
And like I said, I hope I get to meet you at a convention next year. And happy holidays. Continue being blessed and have a great day, sir.
Thanks, sir. Thanks. Enjoyed it. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Allen Danziger. Ain't he a cool dude? Thank you so much, Alan. I'm glad we got to reminisce a little bit about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre memories. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.